Hey everybody, welcome to the new and improved Authorpreneur's Almanac. We've been wanting to record this for a little while and we're excited to be here and do this. We decided to change for a bunch of reasons. This started a year ago. I'm going to stop looking at you and look at Johnny. This is part of it. It's a little weird because this is for you, but Johnny said it's like, well, actually, you talk about it.
Well, I said so we're recording it, but have you ever seen one of these discussion sorts of videos where you're looking at the camera? And the answer is, of course, no. That looks really ridiculous. But, the concept being like this. So we're going to be talking to each other, and then we had that whole discussion of, so you're going to be saying what? And you're going to be saying, well, Johnny wanted to do this. I said, well, you wouldn't say to me, Johnny wanted to do that. So there's a whole language issue. But I think the biggest thing is like, we're storytellers. We have a lot of conversation. We've moved our meetings to in-person. They used to just always be remote. And so because of that... Oh, that's
a good point. I wasn't even thinking. We couldn't have done this.
We're physically co-located. And plus, we're storytellers. We wanted to be able to have a narrative and a dialogue rather than just, I'm going to plunk myself in front of a microphone and discuss the world. Well,
and there's also I think the natural chemistry that's there. And but the thing I was actually referring to was when I said, well, I was explaining what we're going to do here. And you said, so is it like when you're with a bunch of friends that you haven't seen in a while and you're telling each other the stories
that you all know?
You all know.
Remember the time that I did that one thing, ha ha ha, and then he did this.
Right. So it's a little like that because we're going to be saying things that we know and they're not really for our benefit, but they're for our benefit because the more we say them, the more we actualize them and understand them. But it's really for you. It's for people listening to this. And so that you can kind of get a bird's eye view of what we're doing because this is all about our business. And I like too that we used to do the little silo narratives. So we would have, I think Amy started it with that little list of like, here's things that you could talk about for the Almanac. And I'd go in there and say, Sean is doing this one. And you would go in there, I got this one. And this is just more of a conversation. And it's more of, okay, well, what are the things that we want to say? So breaking this down, we're going to do a lot of episodes at once. Right now, we're just going to have like a long conversation. And then Audra or whoever else will break those down into smaller pieces. And we'll have that in YouTube. We'll have that in the podcast. And for this first group, we're going to go through we're going to talk a little bit about the avalanche, and that's the next episode.
The avalanche being the major 2-day meeting, which I'm discussing with you as if you don't already know.
Right. So the avalanche got Dave out of Redacted.
Got him to get on a plane.
I almost said
got him to dope himself up and fly on a plane. It was fantastic.
Yeah, he got very high and flew. He didn't even need to be, well, let's tell that story in the avalanche thing, because the avalanche was really special. But there's cool stuff there. And then we'll go through our goals list, which this is the third year where we're really establishing goals and getting behind them. And we got way ahead of it this year, which is exciting. And then we'll talk about each goal one by one.
Makes sense. Yeah, the last thing I would add in this little preamble, I think that the reason that I like that you proposed this was that we've said for a while that every time we were physically co-located, every time we traveled, we said, we got smarter. And that used to be because one of us had to travel to see the other. And so now I don't really think of it in those terms because we're both in the same city, but it's the same thing. It's like the energy is better. We're going to 1 + 1 = 3 or more. So hopefully that transcends, or that carries over to the Almanac as well, is that you'll get a better show than you would for just Sean or just Johnny and getting us both.
Yeah, I think that's for sure true. And it's funny, I think it was maybe like last week you said this, we were having a meeting and you said something, I mean, you were joking, but you're like, the magic is gone, right? Because we did used to have to travel to see each other, and now it
was so romantic.
Yeah, it really was. But we're good at what we do, and we don't have to work as hard to get the same results as we used to. So it does change the dynamic. It makes it different. And I think kind of being willing to take the time and say, well, what is the story that we want to tell? And I like the perspective too. When you're basically grabbing at topics week to week, it's not the same. I mean, this is essentially what we just told you with, okay, we're going to talk about the avalanche and then the goals and then each of the goals. And then we're going to say, that's our outro. Those are beats, right? Those are beats for a longer narrative and a longer story. And I think we can get richer in detail and help the end listener more. Because if I was on the other side of this broadcast, I would love this broadcast because it's that kind of experiential learning, right? It's those people are doing something I want to do, so I want to learn from their successes, and I want to learn from their mistakes. And we'll have a lot of mistakes to talk about. Like we're pretty good at making those. And besides, this is much better because people can get all the no's this way. Normally on a podcast, it's just like this, right?
Right.
This is the whole thing.
Whole no's. So what are we going to talk about in the next one? Just what do we want to start with?
Yeah, the avalanche. We'll talk about the avalanche. We'll talk about how we got Dave out of Redacted in there and the whole team, kind of the genesis of it and what we accomplished. And then we'll just go into the first goal after that.
Okay, well, I am excited. So I'm very, very eager to get onto this. And I hope I'm looking forward to seeing how the new format works.
Well, what if you waited all this time for the rebooted Almanac and now you just got a tease about the rebooted Almanac? Are you like excited right now about having to wait a whole nother week for an episode?
No, I'd just be good and I'd be like, man, I'm going to let them tease me because that's what this is all about, and it's quasi-sexual at all times.
Well, we're teasing you. So
yeah.
See you next week. Thanks for being here.